WGPR Detroit HD2.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit. The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of WHPS, its affiliates, management, or sponsors.
From Healthwise Enterprise, the health food store that's located at 3807 East 8 Mile Road, about 3 blocks west of Ryan. And we're there to service you from Monday through Saturday from 10 to 7. You can reach us directly by phone at 586-757-DIET. Again, that's 586-757-3438. Our old number still works, 313-366-DIET. And you can reach me directly at 313-600-8532. But I would suggest you send me a text. I can respond to those a lot consistently, even though I do call everybody back. Wow. I guess I want to wish Happy New Year to everybody. It's our first day back for the new year. What's this, January the 13th. Okay. Still good to say Happy New Year. This time of year is still amazing to me because my birthday coming up, and wow, to be 72 is amazing to me. But it to me is just testimony that these products that we talk about, we take ourselves and they working, y'all. And I say that not to impress you, but to impress upon you the importance of following God's plan, which is we thrive off of. One reason they say food heals, because we've been using it for hundreds and hundreds of years. Excuse me, but we were growing our food on mineral-rich soil. Okay, we were using wood ashes to, using wood to heat the house and cook and everything else, and then taking those wood ashes. And I know my father used to do this all the time. Take the wood ashes from the barbecue pit and put over the garden. You know, I was a teenager. I didn't know what he was doing at the time, but I found out later on that those wood ashes was loaded with minerals and trace minerals. And that's one reason that the vegetables he grew in the backyard was just taste like they from down south somewhere. And the folks from down south was, of course, putting nourishment into the soil, so that food had all the vitamins and minerals and trace minerals and fatty acids and the live enzymes, and that's why we got such great results. And I think that's one of the reasons people down south that had farms and grew their own food seemed like they had more life in the number of days that they had on the planet. Okay. And I see that from 30-something years that I've been taking Dr. Wallach's trace minerals, okay, and it just makes a big difference. But one of the reasons I found out is that your body take the trace minerals and make enzymes, and then those enzymes eat up the pathogens, which is, Wayne used to always call them microscopic bugs, where they have eggs, okay, EGGS. Well, the enzymes will eat up the eggs, the parasite eggs, the viruses eggs, the bacteria eggs. They eat up the eggs before they get a chance to hatch and cause new diseases. And that's one way God protected us from all these different diseases, for centuries. And now, with the this pandemic that they keep perpetuating and put on the news, and everybody's stressed out about, we find that minerals and trace minerals is extremely important during this time. And one of the vitamins that I like to zero in on is the vitamin D3. And taking enough of it is so important. And Dr. Barefoot, back in 1999, he is one that first introduced me to taking 10,000 IUs of vitamin D3 a day. And I've been taking it ever since then. And then I ran across this study that talked about I think it was maybe a year and a half now, that taking 10,000 IUs of vitamin D3 a day will prevent 80% of the deaths in Chicago and Boston based on this worldwide study. Well, of course, I'm always studying, and I was looking at Dr. McCullough's website, and we had talked about this in the past, that I call it the Big Four. Is the vitamin D3, 10,000 IUs of that, vitamin K2, 200 micromilligrams of that, the calcium, 2,000 milligrams of that, and the magnesium, 1,000 milligrams of that. And I call that the Big Four, and it helps keep everything in balance because they work synergistically together, and you get more bang for your buck when you take them with some food on your stomach. And he has some studies in here, studies that he had put out, okay, so I could say back in March or April 2020. And then he got the new information that he added to the article. So I don't know how much of it I want to get through, but just wanted to stress, because a lot of folks now are taking vitamin D3. We just got a shipment in of vitamin D3. And Dr. McCullough, he recommends 400 milligrams of magnesium every day, and that helps with the vitamin D3. And he didn't mention in this article, but I've seen in other ones where they mentioned 200 micromilligrams of vitamin K2. In this article, he didn't say anything about calcium, but from previous studies, we know calcium, magnesium work together, and we know the vitamins regulate the minerals. Well, the vitamin K2 help regulate the minerals, especially magnesium and calcium that we talked about, vitamin vitamin D3 and K2. So let's get into it with some of the things Dr. McCullough, and from his research, Magnesium, vitamin K2 optimizes your vitamin D supplementation. During the COVID-19 days and into winter flu season, supplementing with just vitamin D isn't enough and may even be harmful. Okay. Now, this article, remember, is around March, April of 2020. So he's talking about September when he's talking about the fall. If you take supplemental vitamin D3, you also need to be mindful of taking extra K2 and magnesium. It is important to increase your K2 intake when taking high doses of supplemental vitamin D3 to avoid complications associated with excess calcification in your arteries. You need 146% more vitamin D to achieve a blood level of 40 milligrams per milliliter. If you do not take supplemental magnesium compared to taking your vitamin D3 with at least 400 milligrams of magnesium per day. Vitamin D3 improves magnesium absorption, but taking large doses of vitamin D can deplete magnesium, as magnesium is required in the conversion of D3 into its active form. Now, if you're taking Dr. Wallach's Ultimate Classic, I think you're going to get I didn't bring it with me and I didn't check it this morning, but I would say at least 500 to 1,000 milligrams of magnesium, along with 1 to 2,000. Because I didn't check the numbers before I came, I'm gonna say at least 1,000 milligrams of calcium too, from just that one product. Or you can get them individually, okay? The thing I like about the minerals is your body gonna use it what it needs, and it does store up into your body, but any excess would just be expensive urine, which I'd rather have expensive urine rather than having some major disease or condition because I don't have enough of the vitamins and minerals that my body needs. Combining intake of both supplementals, magnesium and vitamin K2, has a greater effect on vitamin D levels than either individually. You need 244% more vitamin D3 if you are not taking the magnesium and the K2 together. So I like to take the magnesium because it kind of makes you cool, calm, and collected or relaxed. So I like to take my magnesium at night before I go to bed. For some reason, a thought keeps coming up about taking Blackstrap Molasses. So I know this rich in potassium, but I would think it has some of the other nourishing benefits to it too. I just wanted to drop that. You may want to do some research on, because I take the Blackstrap Molasses every night too. I like this way it, like I said, it makes me feel, and it gives you a good night's sleep. Optimizing your vitamin D levels is ideally done through sunshine exposure, but of course that's not happening in Michigan in January. And however, many samples are unable to attain sufficient levels of sunshine alone, and we need vitamin D3. In this case, nutritional synergy becomes an important factor. According to research by Grassroot Health, you may want to write that down, Grassroot Health, combining intake of both supplemental magnesium and K2 has a greater effect on vitamin D3 levels than either taken individually. And, quote, those taking both supplemental magnesium and vitamin D has a greater vitamin D level for any given vitamin D intake amount than those taking either supplemental magnesium or vitamin D or neither. So going either and neither and all that, basically where I understood that is that taking when you take the vitamin D3 with the magnesium and the K2, that is the best combination. Now, you still get benefits if you're taking D3 with just K2, and you get benefits if you're taking D3 with just magnesium. But the maximum is to take them both together. Okay, and here's saying you need 2.5 times more vitamin D if you're not taking magnesium and you're not taking K2. Grassroot Health is a nonprofit, independent public health research institute that has been conducting large-scale population-based nutritional research since 2007. While a significant focus is on vitamin D3, the organization has also branched out into other nutrients. Its D-Action projects include a global consort of over 10,000 self-subscribed individuals who provide information about the supplement use and the overall health status. Grassroots Health research shows blood levels in the range of 40 milligrams per milliliter to 60 milligrams per milliliter are safe, effective, and will lower overall disease incidence and healthcare costs. Okay, so it's about 30,000 functions that your body does every day, and vitamin D3 is involved in just about every one of them. That said, other nutrients have been shown to work synergistically with vitamin D3, and being deficient in them can significantly influence your vitamin D status as well. Importantly, data from nearly 3,000 individuals reveal you need 240% more vitamin D3 if you are not also taking magnesium and K2, as reported by the Grassroots Health. Quote, 244% more supplemental vitamin D was needed for 50% of the population to achieve at least 40 milligrams per milliliter for those not taking supplemental magnesium and vitamin D compared to those who usually take both supplements of magnesium and vitamin K2. What this means in practical terms is that if you take all three supplements in combination, you need far less vitamin D3 in order to achieve a healthy vitamin D3 level. And they say the level is good between 40 and 60 milligrams per milliliter. Dr. McCullough, I think he usually keeps his between 60 and 80. I like to keep mine between 80 and 100, okay, because I'm looking for the ultimate health benefits, okay. Now, how magnesium affects vitamin D. It's previously written about the importance of taking K2 to avoid complications associated with excess calcification in your arteries when you're taking high doses of vitamin D3. In fact, relative vitamin K2 deficiency is typically what produces symptoms of vitamin D toxicity. That said, magnesium is also a critical part of the equation, as it is a component necessary for the activation of D3. Without significant amounts of magnesium, your body cannot properly utilize the D3 you are taking. Of course, there are food sources of magnesium, but I didn't give you the list of that. You can stop by 3807 East 8 Mile. We can give you that list. This actually helps explain why many need rather high doses of vitamin D to optimize their levels. It could be that they simply have insufficient amount of magnesium in their system to activate the vitamin D3, as noted by this Professor Muhammad Zakukut, Professor of Biology of Lake Erie College in Pennsylvania. He quotes, "People are taking D3 supplements but don't realize how it gets metabolized. Without magnesium, D3 is not really useful. By consuming an optimal amount of magnesium, one may be able to lower the risk of vitamin D deficiency and reduce the dependency on vitamin D3 supplementation." According to the scientific review, and he quotes some of those in the bottom of this article, published in 2018, as many as 50% of Americans taking D3 supplements may not get sufficient benefits, as D3 simply gets stored in its inactive form. And the reason for this is because they have insufficient magnesium levels in their body. Research published in 2013 also highlights this issue, concluding that higher magnesium intake helps reduce your risk of vitamin D deficiency by activating more of it, as quoted by authors. Quote, "High intake of total dietary or supplemental magnesium has independently associated with sufficiently reducing the risk of vitamin D toxicity and insufficiently, respectively. Intake of magnesium significantly interacts with intake of vitamin D3, relating to risk of both vitamin D deficiency and insufficiency. Our primary findings indicate it is possible that magnesium intake alone or its interaction with vitamin D may contribute to the vitamin D status. Similarly, Grassroots Health has found you need 146% more vitamin D to achieve a blood level of 40 milligrams per milliliter if you do not take supplemental magnesium, compared to taking your vitamin D with at least 400 milligrams of magnesium per day. Then they give you a chart to show you all of this. Okay, the interplay between magnesium and vitamin D isn't a one-way street, though. It goes both ways. Interesting. While vitamin D improves magnesium absorption, taking large amount of vitamin D can also deplete magnesium. Again, the reason for that is because magnesium is required in the conversion of vitamin D3 into its active form. So if it's going to deplete it, you want to make sure you take a supplement. Like I said, they are foods, but I didn't bring a list with me. Now, this is new to me. It's vitamin D3 and B12. Okay. And magnesium may affect COVID-19 outcomes. Okay. See, some of the vegetarians, because we don't eat meat, they don't get enough B12 in. Now, I didn't bring my B12 with me, but we do have that at Healthwise. While D3 and magnesium are important for overall health year-round, they may be of particular importance right now, as we are still dealing with COVID-19 pandemic in many areas of the world, and a second wave is expected in the fall. Remember, this is from the spring of 2020. According to primary research that is still undergoing peer review, older COVID-19 patients given a combination of D3, magnesium, and B12 fare significantly better than those who did not receive this supplement. Okay. Quote, between 15th January and 15th of April of 2020, 43 consecutive COVID-19 patients aged over 50 were identified. 17 patients received vitamin D3, magnesium, and B12, and 26 patients did not. The baseline demographics and characteristics between the two groups were similar. Significantly fewer D3, magnesium, B12 patients than control required initiation of oxygen therapy subsequently throughout their hospitalization. Yes, taking those three, vitamin D3, vitamin and magnesium, mineral, and the B12, they needed less oxygen requirements. Putting them on that oxygen machine, okay. This vitamin D3, magnesium, and B12 exposure was associated with odd ratio of, which is 0.3 and 0.5. For oxygen therapy needed and or intense care support on ultravariant and multivariant analysis, respectively. Conclusions: vitamin D3, magnesium, and B12 combination in older COVID-19 patients was associated with a significant reduction in proportions of patients with clinical deteriorations requiring oxygen support and or intensive care support. This study supports further larger randomized controlled trials to ascertain the full benefits of those three, vitamin D3, magnesium, and B12, okay, as far as the effects it would have on COVID-19 patients. Again, this was between January the 15th and April the 15th of 2020. So, like, I just can't stress it. They got the science, and I know it may be boring, but it's the science that they keep stressing. But here, Dr. McCullough's website, you can check it out. If you want to stop by, I can show you the article myself from my cell phone or the computer. Or if you want a copy of it, just let me know at I would say call the office at 586-757-DIET. Okay, that's 586-757-3438. And express you want a copy of this report so you can have some science. All right. Of course, this is before they start passing out those shots. The signs of the vitamin D deficiency. The idea that vitamin D may play a major role in COVID-19 sincerely makes sense considering its importance in its infections, including viral infections in general. Vitamin D helps regulate your immune functions, and deficiency is associated with more frequent infections and inflammation-related illnesses of all types. Other common signs and symptoms of vitamin D deficiency include 1. Muscle weakness and fatigue. 2. Bone and joint pain, as well as fractures. 3. depression. 4, impaired collagen and headaches. And 5, slow wound healing. Okay. Some clear signs of vitamin D3 deficiencies. To improve your immune function and lower your risk of viral infections, you will want to raise your vitamin D to a level between 60 and 80 milligrams per milliliter by fall, okay, of 2020. In Europe, the measurements, of course, they use a little different system over there. Optimizing your vitamin D is particularly important if you are older, in this case over 50, or have darker skin, because our skin is so dark we don't get a high amount of vitamin D3. Now, long-term deficiency can also contribute to more chronic health problems, including rickets, cardiovascular diseases, with your heart, autoimmune diseases. Risk factors for vitamin D deficiency include 1, rarely spending time outdoors and or always wearing sunscreen. 2, having darker skin. 3, being over the age of 50. 4, being obese. And 5, having gastrointestinal problems, what they call it, acid reflux, things like that. So it's so important, again, to get that vitamin D3 in. And if you can, at least the magnesium, okay? And if you can, at least the K2, okay? Optimize your D3 before the fall of 2020. Aside from age and other conditions that people may be having, such as diabetes, obesity, and heart attack, vitamin D deficiency has also been identified as an underlying factor that significantly impacts COVID-19 deaths, all right? I discussed this, and vitamin D is directly correlated to COVID-19 outcomes. It's another article from Dr. McCullough, MERCOLA, that he wrote, and it's available. Vitamin D is directly correlated to COVID-19 outcomes. Now, at the end of this, or beginning of this, he's going to tell you to always refer back to your doctors, and we're not trying to make any claims. We're just giving you information. I'm not a doctor, a lawyer, nutritionist, or dietitianist. I read a lot. So I'm reading to you, okay? And I share this information. We grew up with knowledge was power, but at Healthwise, we twerk it a little bit and said applied knowledge is power, okay? And when you share with other folks, you plant seeds in them, and you might even save somebody's life or save them some time from being sick, okay? Now, aside from age and other conditions, the following graph, which came out in May 18, 2020, letter to the Federal Chancellor of Germany and retired biochemist, in which they highlighted studies showing a clear correlation between COVID-19 mortality and vitamin D levels. That basically saying, according to this chart, the death rate, the lower the vitamin D people have in a system, so like the more, it seems like the more mortalities people are having based on this chart. It's important to note that, like most coronaviruses, SARS-CoV-2 cases can reemerge in the fall when temperatures and humidity levels drop, thereby increasing the virus transmissibility. To improve your immune function and lower your risk of viral infections, you will want to raise your vitamin D levels between 60 to 80 milligrams per milliliter before fall. And, okay. To optimize your vitamin D is particularly important if you're older or have darker skin. And if you both, if you want to do both, all right. One of the easiest and most cost-efficient ways of measuring your vitamin D is to participate in the Grassroots Health, I think it's .org, all right, personalized nutritional projects, which include a vitamin D testing kit, either alone in a combination with omega-3 test. This is done in the convenience of your home. So that's one reason I bought the Salmon Oil Plus, which is excellent source of omega-3 because it gives you 8 parts of the omegas, when most I've seen only give you 2 or 3 parts of the omegas. And it's important that we get omegas every day, either the supplements. I like this one because it's a Salmon Oil Plus, or from fish, of course, would be salmon, preferably the ocean or salmon, okay? To make your vitamin D levels and immune system functions at optimum, you can follow these 3 steps. First, measure your vitamin D levels. Once you know what your blood level is, you can access the doses needed to maintain and improve the level. The easiest way to raise your level is getting regular, safe sun exposure. But if you're very dark-skinned, you may need to spend an hour and a half a day in the sun to have any noticeable effect. Of course, that's not happening in January in Detroit. Those with very light-skinned may need only 15 minutes a day, okay, which is far easier to achieve. Still, they too will typically struggle to maintain ideal levels during the winter. So, depending on your situation, you may need to use an oil of vitamin D3 supplement. But the next question then, but how much do you need? Number 2, access your individualized vitamin D doses. To do that, you can either use the chart below, and it give you a nice little chart, okay, or use Grassroots Health vitamin D calculator. Now, to convert, okay. Okay, now number 3, to retest the vitamin D level in 3 to 6 months. Lastly, you need to remeasure the vitamin D levels in 3 to 6 months to evaluate how your sun exposure and or supplement dosage is working for you. Now, okay, now, I see time flies when you're having fun. Not only will optimize your vitamin D3 be an important strategy for you and your family, but it would be really helpful to start thinking about your community as well. That's why we're here on WHPR. If you can, speak to pastors and churches with large congregations of people of color and help them start a program getting the congregation on the vitamin D3. If you have a family member or know anyone who is at an assisted living facility, meet with the director of the program and encourage them to get everyone tested or at least start them on vitamin D3. You really need an army of people to make a difference and build up the immune resiliency of the population as we fight COVID and other respiratory diseases. It's never too late to begin. For extra information on the value of vitamin D3 and lowering your risk of COVID, please see my paper in the Journal of Nutrients which highlight evidence that people and physicians can use or recommend D3 supplement to prevent or treat COVID in light of their safety and wide therapeutic window. Okay, now the disclaimer. I wanted to say that. The entire content of this website are based upon our opinions of Dr. Makota, unless otherwise noted. Individual articles are based upon the opinions of the respective authors who retain copyrights as marketed. The information on this website is not intended to replace a one-on-one relationship with a qualified healthcare professional and is not intended as medical advice. It is intended as a sharing of knowledge and information from the research and experience of Dr. Makota and his community. Dr. Makota encourages you to make your own healthcare decisions based upon your research, and in particular with a qualified healthcare professional. The subscription fee being requested is for the access to the articles and information based on this site, and is not being paid for any individual medical advice. If you are pregnant, nursing, taking medication, or have a medical condition, consult your healthcare professional before using procedures based on this contents. Am I right? So then he gets about 22 different references. All right. So for years, I guess 20-something years, I've been using Dr. Makota's information for personal reasons, etc. And then, I guess about a year ago, he got pressured from the powers that be to make him take 25 years of research that he gave you freely, okay, for 25 years. He made him take it all off. Now, he's still putting new articles on a daily basis, but it's only up for 48 hours. If you become a member, now it costs $5 a month to have access to 25 years of research that he has done. Okay, $5 a month to get all this information. I mean, you spend $50 an hour, $100 an hour to talk to a lawyer for information that he's taken years to study. And it's the same thing here with Dr. Makota. So I can't encourage you enough to study. Of course, they call it him misinformation or disinformation. But I always say, how are you going to let some grown person tell another grown person what to read and what not to read? I always was taught by my parents, you read everything and then you decide what's good information and what's bad information, okay? What's disinformation, or, okay? You have that ability to make those decisions yourself. But you want to read everything, the pros and the cons, all right? You know, you read not only back in the 60s, we not only read Muhammad Speak and Final Call, you know, we read some of the very prejudiced articles, okay, was the Ku Klux Klan and what their mindset was at, okay? And once you know what both sides is talking, then you can come from your own perspective and make your own decisions. And that's the same thing what we get from Dr. Makota and other websites out there. The American Frontline Doctors is another source of good information. Robert Kennedy, he has a website, Children in Defense organization, okay, that gives you good information. So more and more people are becoming more and more informed, because this information is a couple years old that I presented to you today. But we have talked about vitamin D, over 20 years. All right, we've been talking about it from Healthwise, and because we started here, I think it was February in 2021. All right, no, it's 2001. So this will be our 21st year of being on WHPR. Back then we just had the radio, but we progressed and got TV now, okay, which is great. I can't encourage you enough to stop by Healthwise. And if you want to sit down with me, I would suggest you set up a time where we can do just that, consultation as they call it. And I can give you the one-on-one information, refer you to other places you can get further information, because like I say, applied information is power. And it does make a difference. We've seen the differences here. I'm looking at this other article on here about hydrogen peroxide videos. There's no danger in doing it every day, and likely there is health benefits. I know this local doctor, he cured 107 people using food-grade hydrogen peroxide back in the spring of, maybe it was March or April of 2020. And of course, he got scrutinized for it, and they made him take it off his website, okay, the FDA, because he didn't do a double-blind study. And he said he didn't want to be playing with people's lives, because to do a double-blind study, you get a group of people where you give them the antidote, and another group you give them the sugar pill. He said those people that got the sugar pill would have died. Just to prove a point. And he said no, he a doctor, he took an oath to give people his best, and he gave them food-grade hydrogen peroxide individually, had them breathing it in, and we took that idea and said, hey, we need to find out what he's breathing in. And we found out he take anywhere from 1 ounce to 4 ounces in a gallon of water, and you can put that in a nebulizer. You can breathe that in. Okay, well, so we can put that in a humidifier and breathe it in all day at Healthwise, all day at home, all day here at WHPR. Okay, we're killing the germs and fungus and bacteria, viruses in the air, based on the studies we've gotten from, like I say, a local doctor who used it to cure 107 people of COVID. Wow, it's amazing. So we as a people are constantly relying on God to keep our faith, because you can't have faith and fear at the same time. So we're using God to keep our faith strong and fighting the powers to be, because they are constantly trying to take our houses now. Matter of fact, that's part of their program. These super rich folks is buying houses. I mean, it's hard to compete because they can spend 10, 20, 30% more for the house. So they own the land. And if you want a house, now you got to cartel to them rather than have the standard American dream, which is own your own house. That's part of their program. So the beat goes on. What we zero in on is your health, what you can do to enhance your health. And it's working because it's because God said it would, and we believed him, and folks is getting great results, and that's our focus, is on folks getting great results. So you can give us a call at 313-366-DIET, 586-757-DIET, or you can reach me at 313-600-8532. We encourage you to stop by Healthwise at 3807 East 8 Mile Road, about 3 blocks west of Ryan, between Ryan and DeQuinta, Monday through Saturday from 10 to 7. Thank you for your support. bless you, all your hugs. So look forward to seeing you soon. Peace and love.